Sir, Captain Walton is here for her appointment.
Thanks. Send her in, please. Marcy, good to see you. Grab a seat over there at the table. How are things going down at the company?
All good, sir. We are still in the process of recovering from last week's field training exercise, so we are doing lots of equipment maintenance and getting everything reset. It is taking a while, but nothing really to worry about. Just lots of work for the troops to do.
Margie, can I get you something to drink?
No, thank you, sir. I had coffee already and don't need any more caffeine.
Okay, the reason I called you in here is that I wanted to talk to you about the recent command climate survey that you conducted. Overall, it looked good, but there are two areas that I want to discuss with you. The results showed that within your unit, many of the soldiers reported that they felt the command did not look out for the welfare of the soldiers, and they thought the flow of information was inadequate. Do you have any insight on why they might have felt this way?
No, sir. That comes as a bit of a surprise to me. I have always made sure the soldiers have what is required for them to accomplish the mission. As long as they put forth the effort to accomplish the mission, I make sure they are recognized for their efforts. In fact, I had planned on giving them some additional time off for all the hard work they have been doing recently, but then the FTX recovery forced me to delay it.
Margie, I know I've seen the lights burning long into the night down in your motor pool area. I was surprised that your soldiers had to work so many additional hours, and I would have thought that with your unit scoring the highest on the last maintenance inspection, your vehicles would have been good to go.
Yes, sir. And I believe the reason we did score so high on that inspection was the long hours we put in. I had them continue working late to ensure we maintained those high standards. I planned on giving the troops some additional time off later, but then we had to recover from the FTX.
Margie, I applaud you for your efforts on keeping your vehicles well maintained, but was it really necessary for them to stay late to work on areas that meet the standard but just weren't as high as the others? Did you think that maybe if you had given them some time off to recognize their hard work, they would have continued to put forth the effort to maintain those high standards? Instead, making the soldiers continue to work longer than the rest of the battalion without seeing any benefit could hurt morale and diminish their performance?
Sir, I had planned on giving the unit an extended weekend after the FTX.
You thought about it, but did they know about it? You have good soldiers, as they have demonstrated repeatedly. They have shown that they will work very hard when necessary, but you need to recognize and reward those efforts in a meaningful way when you can. You did have them putting in the long hours to get ready for the inspection, and they came through, but then they did not see any payback for their efforts. No time off to help balance out the long hours they put in and tangibly recognize their contribution. Do you think that might be part of the reason that they have identified the unit command as not looking out for the soldiers?
Sir, now that you mention it, I can see why they felt that I didn't recognize their hard efforts. I did plan on giving them time off later, but it probably would have been better to let them go home after the inspection and come in later to work on the additional areas. Also, I hadn't told them of my plans for a long weekend, since I didn't want them to get their hopes up for some time off and later have to cancel it for some reason.
Margie, you need to remember that as the commander, you have access to a lot more information than the soldiers see. While you can't always let them know everything, giving them what you can will keep the lines of communication open. Nobody likes to be kept in the dark and wondering about the future.
Yes, sir. That does make sense. I will work on making sure to improve the flow of information downward to the soldiers. I just did not want to provide too much unnecessary information, but I see how that could have led to the soldiers not thinking I cared about their welfare. I will also make sure that I keep in mind that not everybody needs to work the same amount of hours as I do.
Okay, those are important goals, but what will you actually do to achieve them, and how will you know that you've been successful?
Well, sir, a few things come to mind. First, I think I need to be more vocal about my appreciation for the hard work and extra hours the troops have put in. I see 3 ways I can do that. First, I will be more diligent in speaking to the soldiers after we have performed difficult missions. I can speak to them in company formation and also to smaller groups that I encounter during the workday. Second, I can use the NCO channel to get the word out about how much I appreciate the troops' efforts. Third, I've been thinking about creating a company newsletter, and I think that now's the time to get it going. It would be a perfect way to share information, recognize accomplishments, and express my appreciation for the efforts of the unit. Those 3 things should help with the communication problem. As far as rewarding hard efforts is concerned, I will look for a time in the near future when I can give the unit a long weekend, and I'll use the NCO channel and newsletter to announce it. Also, when we develop our training schedule, I will plan for time off after major events. I want time off to be a reward and not become an expectation, but if I don't plan for it, I may not be able to give it when it is warranted.
Margie, that sounds like a great plan of action, and I look forward to seeing your first company newsletter soon. I want you to talk to your soldiers and use your NCO support channel to find out if your efforts work. Come and see me in a few weeks and let me know what results you found. You can repeat the Command Climate Survey next fiscal year to see if there's been a change in your unit's perception. Hooah?
Hooah!